Good afternoon, it's Mayor Turner, and I was just wanting to get you caught up on what's going on with COVID. We'll start with the numbers as we always do. Amarillo is at 3561. Lubbock is at 955. Abilene is at 874. San Angelo is at 131. Midland right now is at 264. El Paso is at 3,999. Want to talk a little bit about, before I give you our numbers, talk a little bit about testing. As you noticed, our numbers have ran up fairly quickly here in the last 2 weeks. That's because of a change in testing. Let me explain it a little bit to you. There is what's called a PCR test. What a PCR test is, that's the nose swab that they send off to a lab. They send it either to a state lab in Lubbock or Dallas or El Paso, and they can also send it to local labs. And it typically takes, anywhere from 4 to 6 days before you get that test back. That is, when you get test positive on that, you are a confirmed case. That means you have it. There is another test in town. It's over at Singular Care over by Dairy Queen on Grandview. It's right there. They are doing what's called an antigen test. That's a little bit different test than the PCR test. They will take a nose swab. They go put it into a machine. The machine will spit out within 30 to 45 minutes a test result, which is good. It's 100% of those tests that come back positive, you're positive. So what they're doing, what the problem with that test is, when it becomes negative, 80% of the time it's correct, but 20% of the time it's not correct. They have 20% false negatives. The problem is, you get a false negative and you think, I'm fine, I don't have to worry about it, I'm good, when you still may have it. That's why those cases are called probable. Until they get to use the PCR test, you're going to be considered a probable case. Now, you've also heard things about an antibody test. Let me kind of explain the way I understand the antibody test. When you get a cold or you get COVID or anything like that, your body starts to produce antibodies. It's what your body uses to fight that infection. What they can do is, after you've had COVID or you've been exposed to COVID, test your body to see if you have produced any antibodies. And it is a good test to say, yes, you had coronavirus and you recovered from it, or you haven't been. But it won't tell you whether you have it or not. It's just simply telling you about the antibodies you have. So that is the difference now in our numbers. Right now, we have 300 confirmed cases, and we have 133 probable cases. Those 133 are from that antigen test I told you about that have the 20% false negatives. So that kind of gives you a little bit of information on why the numbers are going up and why some of them are called probable. So I'm just a sandwich maker learning about all this, so I'm just giving you the information I've been given. So give you a little bit of what's going on with the hospitals. Currently in medical center, they have 15. 4 of those are from the Focus Care nursing home here in Odessa. And 1 of them is from the Focus Care nursing home in Crane. So those were cases that were caught inside the facilities. They currently have at medical center 180 pending cases, pending results. So those are ones they've sent off, like we talked about, that we're waiting for them to come back. ORMC has 3 cases, and they have 14 tests that are pending. So that kind of gives you an idea of what's going on with the test results. Talk a little bit about the schools, hearing a little bit from the colleges. Everything right now is basically up in the air until we know how they're doing this week. This month, because it's easy for them to come up with a plan and say, this is what we're going to do. But if the cases jump up dramatically, that may change what they're talking about. So I know the school district is working very hard on multiple sources or multiple ways to open the schools. There is some talk about, maybe it's a 3-day week for some people, maybe it's a 5-day week for other people. And hopefully we will start to hear some of that, probably I would guess middle of July, because you are going to have to register for school and things like that. So one thing I've been wanting to do, and especially, is thank the health department for all they do. Thank Russell Tippin. He's the CEO at Medical Center, for all of his work and all of his doctors and everybody that's helping it. Stacy Brown over at ORMC for all of their hard work. It's very thankless, but all of them are doing a fantastic job. In fact, the governor of Austin is asking about how we are all communicating, and they're very impressed with the way that we've all communicated as far as COVID and staying together and staying as a community, as opposed to just individual organizations. Give you a little bit of an update. In Pecos, the prison currently has 65 cases of COVID. So we may end up with some of those people being brought into here, because Pecos typically doesn't have a large enough hospital to handle things. But at this point, we don't have any prisoners headed this way. There's also a concern in Alpine. Alpine has really trimmed back their businesses that are open and things like that, because they have had a jump in cases. And so that's something you may hear on the news, and I just wanted you to be aware of it. Found out a little information on one reason why our cases are jumping. Our cases are really people from 21 to 30. That's where we're seeing the largest increase in cases. Couple of the people have told us that there was a group that went to Austin in that age range and went down there, hit the bars, came back, and came back and all tested positive for COVID. Another group went to San Marcos. I believe they floated the river, did some things down there. And so we've seen large groups of those age range that are showing positive. In fact, that's the top group right now, is from 21 to 30. So we're not really worried about them getting ill and being put in the hospital. The big concern is them getting ill and exposing somebody who may have a compromised immune system, maybe a grandmother, maybe a mother or father, maybe a sibling that has diabetes, things on like that. And we're hearing a lot of cases coming out of the bars. Twin Peaks has actually closed down to clean their area. And so bars are really one of the places that are really showing a lot of cases coming out of them, just because people are typically closer. And so we are actively watching that. That's really all I've got for you today, but I wanted to explain the difference in the test so that you could kind of understand. Not saying it's a bad test. The one that we talked about the antigen over at the place off Grandview, it's just a different test, but you do have to worry about false negatives on that test. But a lot of people are getting tested right now, which is good. But just to make sure you don't waste money, if you've just been exposed to COVID, don't go get tested the day you were exposed. Typically, it will take 7 to 10 days for the virus to get prevalent enough in your body that you will test positive. So if you feel symptoms, a lot of people think they have a sinus infection or they may have the flu, that's when you start to go get tested to make sure. So please, everybody this weekend, have a fabulous Father's Day weekend. God bless each and every one of you, and just keep praying for our country, praying for our state, and for Ector County and Odessa, that we get through this and we make it to the other side and we can get back to life as normal. Thank you, and God bless each and every one of you. Thank you.